everyone. I'd like to start off by saying thank you all for being here for our elections. As our general body and fellow candidates, you are vital parts of the future of FASA. So thank you for taking time to hear everyone tonight. My name is Aquino. I use she, her pronouns. I'm an incoming senior majoring in vocal performance on the pre-nursing track with a biology minor. I'm currently this year's secretary, but I am now here today to run for 2022-2023 president. FASA is. This is how we start off each of our meetings. And FASA is. This is how we end each of them too. But FASA is what? I know each of you are screaming what it is in your head right now, but I really want you all to think about that. FASA is what? Looking back on my 3 years in college, I think about two things: who I was and who I am. I'm happy to say that I believe I've grown and learned through all the experiences I've been given here at UMBC. One of the most important and rewarding experiences I've had is FASA. It's crazy to me to think about the first time I joined. I attended GBM, and this person approached me, asked my name, and became my very first friend in FASA. Many of you guys know him as MASA President Dan, president of FASA in 2020-2021. After that first GBM, I've met so many amazing people who have truly become some of my closest friends and family. FASA has been something I'm so passionate about, something that really makes me happy, a place where I feel safe, a community that accepts me for who I am. I would like to run for president in order to give back to the people who are most important to me. With that being said, my biggest goal, if elected for president, is to keep FASA a welcoming and fun environment for people to build connections and learn more about the Filipino culture. With this in mind, my experiences on eBoard this year and other past leadership experiences, I plan to use the FASA's 4 pillars: family, integration, education, and service. Beginning with family, it's probably the easiest pillar to get right, but on the flip side, it can be the easiest pillar to get wrong. One thing that I'd like to emphasize coming into this academic year is inclusivity. I want to work my way to removing the stigma of Filipino chismes, cliques, and exclusivity. I find that many people tend to stray away from orgs that are cliquey or don't seem to include others or new members. I'd like to find ways to help general body members in FASA to be more open to everybody, whether it be something as encouraging new members to join at newly revived tables, or giving a little push to quiet members to participate in the louder games. You never know what your little push or words of encouragement can do for a person. One of the duties of president is to create, develop, manage all FASA-related events and projects. I'll do my best to work closely with my e-board to ensure these events make everyone feel included and comfortable. People stay where they feel comfortable, and I want FASA to be a place where people stay. Next, going with integration, I think one thing that cultural orgs, especially the Asian ones, that we should keep in mind is that we are immigrants, we are Asian, we are minorities, and that's something that I feel that we should use to our advantage to bond and to connect with one another. I plan on continuing to collab with KSA, VSA, CSA, and all the SAs, as we like to call it, on our campus. Hopefully doing some more formation collabs and overall more collabs with cultural orgs. This goes back to the main goal of inclusivity, not just including those who are part of FASA to feel more at home, but also to be a second home for other orgs and other cultural orgs. Personally, this is a challenge for me, being open to other orgs. And I just feel that you guys deserve to know that transparency of myself, because I like to stay where I feel comfortable when it comes to people. And I felt that running for president would allow me to have an opportunity to grow and get better at that thing that I struggle with. And hopefully I'll be able to work with the vice president, who this year's candidate is very close to a lot of the other orgs, and that is a huge advantage for our board, and hopefully I will be able to take advantage of that as well. One of the other duties for president is managing public relations, and then I would be able to work with the PR for next year to continue to build those connections with the other boards. The other pillar is education, and I think it's probably the second to last pillar in terms of us lacking. I would like to work closely with the social media team and the vice president for more opportunities like the culture talks that Giselle started, for the cultural corner that Hope and Giselle started, and make more cultural-based GBMs. I feel that a lot of our GBMs are now a lot better with events, but we still lack the culture aspect. We still lack educating people with Tagalog, with Visayas, with Ilocano, with the different cultures, with the food, and our GBM should have some more cultural aspects like that. If not, let's have more cultural focused GBMs. I want to get rid of the image that we are a social org. That is something that our e-board had talked about a lot this year, is that we are a social org instead of a cultural org seeming. And we need to remember that we are a cultural org, and one thing that I had thought would be helpful would be having a culture chair possibly next semester. The last pillar is service, and that is the pillar that we are lacking in the most. With the new addition of service, one service event per semester in the Constitution, I think that would be really helpful for us to prioritize service. Service is important because I believe giving back to your community is the best way to say thank you to somebody. We can do things such as continue to do philanthropy, but something as simple as random acts of kindness throughout the campus. We could continue volunteering. When I was a freshman, we volunteered at our Brother's Keeper, which is a soup kitchen. And there were COVID restraints, but coming into the new year, I would like to do my best to research more on that, to see what other volunteer opportunities we can do. And finally, giving back to our motherland, donating goods to the Philippines with balikbayan boxes. I am familiar with some people who are aware of that process, and I would like to possibly do 1 or 2 next semester for balikbayan boxes, to donate clothes, food, and other drives for people. I'd like to close off by talking about my experience with eBoard. It was a pleasure to work with the eBoard this year. A lot of you guys inspired me, a lot of you guys pushed me, a lot of you guys definitely showed me things about myself that I didn't know were there. Thank you to Mark and Giselle, our president and vice president, for all the guidance that they've given me. I was able to experience planning and hosting events for FAFSA, and through eBoard, I also know how EBMs are run, which is one of the duties of the president, which is to facilitate and manage the eBoard and their meetings. It gives me an idea on how to plan the year with my eBoard in order to be successful. With the lovely secretary position that I was given, it helped me hone my organizational skills. And I plan to hopefully, with the vice president, have the entire semester or year planned out so that everything is at a glance for us, so nobody panics, and we would be able to know that we have an event this week and we have something next week. I would also like to maybe restructure and tighten up the new member representative position. It seemed more of a looser position when we had created it, and hopefully with a more structured frame with new member rep when we get there, it will prove to be something very helpful for us in the next semester. And finally, it would just be making sure that everyone on eBoard feels that they are needed and wanted and useful. I want to make sure that everyone in eBoard feels that they are doing what they can for the org and not doing enough. Earlier I said I look back on my 3 years and the trail I left behind, and I thought about 2 things: who I was and who I am. I remember running for secretary as a freshman, and I was not given the position. I look back and remember how I felt. I was angry, I was hurt, I was frustrated, but standing here now, I realize it was a blessing in disguise because I took that year as a time to reflect and learn more about myself. I grew stronger from that experience, then tried again as a sophomore and became the secretary that I am now. One thing I try to ingrain into my own brain is that I need to stop being a perfectionist, but instead be a progressionist. The closer a person gets to perfection, the higher the bar is raised. Every time. I want to try and run with the bar instead of raising it and keep moving forward. My personal goal for myself is to always improve, and I hope that you all as general body and new eBoard will hold me accountable with my position, and I plan to do the same, which leads me to who I am today. Today, I stand before you as someone who has overcome a lot of adversity, someone who values the people around her, someone who felt she was never supported but blinded by her own doubt. On March 1st, someone texted me and said, "I just want you to know that if you're running for president, I'll gladly be your vice president." That was a moment where I didn't believe in myself, but someone else did. Thank you, Tulip, for sparking this in me and reminding me how much I love FASA. Thank you for being my partner, and I hope I will be able to continue to keep FASA as something we are proud of. Thank you for the current board for this experience. I don't know where I'd be without you. Thank you to Giselle and Mark for all the support and guidance, and I only hope to be half the leader that you both are. And lastly, thank you, FASA. I asked you to think about what FASA really is in the beginning of this speech, and through all the struggles, laughs, tears, and joy, FASA has always remained one thing. FASA is family! Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate you all. I hope you consider me as your president.